We have running backs who are listed in groups, okay? And each group we have to rank the players from most to least favorite. So we're going to rank the players from most. So here's the first list, okay? So first list is Walter Payton, Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith, Jim Brown. So you got to rank those four players as your least and most favorite. And yeah. So go.
All right. So I'm gonna start with my most favorite is gonna be Barry, Walter, Emmett, Jim Brown.
So here's the challenge right here, because Herman likes to the criteria. Is it because Barry was my teammate? If I'm gonna go pure runners, right? Just
All right. Well, if you want
pure
to start
running.
over, let me just say this.
No, no, no,
Let me
no,
say
no,
this,
no,
Scott.
no. You
Let me
did
just
your
say this.
thing.
If you
No,
want to
no, no,
start over,
no,
if you want to
no,
give me some different criteria, then in instead of just my most favorites, like this is based on me from a personal standpoint.
no. Right.
But if you
Yeah.
want to give me criteria, I'm more than happy to re-rank.
You did it by your most favorite. Okay.
I've
Yeah.
I've met all but Walter on here.
Yeah.
And based on that, I was ranking it based on my personal interaction with
Yeah.
the individuals.
So for me, if I'm looking at it just from that perspective, Barry's one teammate, but I put Barry one as far as runners. Look, you and I saw some things that were just not normal, like what Barry Sanders did. No one ran like that. Nobody did as a runner, right? But if you're talking about someone that you want to build an offense around and you want that consistency, I don't know that Barry's the number one guy. And I've said this before and all those things just because of his style. And there was a lot of negative runs. The guy that might be the best to build an offense around, Emmett and Walter are probably very similar in their styles. Jim Brown, of course, I didn't really. Jim Brown could. Jim Brown played in the modern era. He might just be even greater than he was. It's a phenomenal list, but as far as favorites, I'm not gonna vary from you. I'm gonna say Barry, I'm gonna say Walter, Emmett, and Jim Brown. The only reason Jim Brown is down there because that's probably recency bias for me because I just didn't watch him play, and everyone just said, "Oh, Jim Brown," like Jim Brown, and
Right.
so I take their word for it. But as far as building an offense around, Jim Brown may be number one. If you want to balance consistent offense, if you want an offense that plays today, Barry Sanders might not be a bad option because everything today is about throwing the football, spreading teams out, throwing the football, and that might work very well with Barry Sanders today. Emmitt Smith, I think of all of these, might be the best guy out of the backfield as far as catching passes. Man, it's hard to pass on Walter Payton though. I'll just go from favorite, and I'm going to say, unfortunately, I hate to always agree with you, which I don't, but in this one, I'm going to agree, and I'm going to rank it the same way. Now, do you want to make another comment on a different evaluation of these players, or
Yeah, so if you're going off of building around systems and stuff like that, there are orders, right? It depends on the offensive style that
yeah,
I'm running. So as we get into granular add-ons and reasons why we pick certain players, then I think we always try and figure that out. And I've done some things in the past where we do polls to say if I'm on the goal line and I had a Billy Sims, Barry Sanders, David Montgomery, and some other people, I said, who would you Corey Schlesinger, who would you put in?
I'll put
Right?
the
It
fridge in.
changes. So yeah, or
Fridge,
William Perry, right?
yeah,
So who would you put in?
yeah.
And
In a
we all know that if you're looking for the spectacular run, you're looking for some of those bounces blocked in the middle, then the guy spins and cuts and runs around the side and maybe hits the corner, then yeah, that's the guy. But if the criteria is just simply we're on the 1 yard line, you got one guy. We've seen high flying Billy Sims. We've seen Barry style, right? And we know that he's not going to be more in the lower shoulder, get between the tackles, go low to the ground. He's capable of doing that, but we don't have a ton of highlights of Barry doing that kind of stuff.
yeah,
So we see him as a certain type of style. Then you got Walter Payton diving over the top. So you look at him and Billy Sims, and it becomes who do you want? Then you got William Perry, and you just know you just load him up, and it's the modern day before the tush push.
yeah,
It was basically the fridge train, right?
yeah.
Put him in. So it changes. Earl Campbell, who is it?
Marcus Allen,
Craig Ironhead, right?
yeah, Craig Hayward,
So
yeah.
so on that second list, what you got?
Okay, second list is today, right? So you have Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Brees Hall.
I'm going probably in this group. Are we playing modern day or just in general?
We'll just say how they are today, modern day.
Today, I'm gonna go Christian McCaffrey,
Okay.
Derrick Henry,
Okay.
Saquon Barkley, Brees Hall.
Yeah. Yeah, man, this is a tough one for me. So McCaffrey is he's like a catalyst. He's also not as healthy. Derrick Henry is just a beast, a workhorse. Saquon wins a Super Bowl and was a big part of why Philly won the Super Bowl and maybe reinvented the running back position a little bit. And Brees Hall is clearly he's out. He's like fourth and probably fourth by a mile in my opinion. But I was almost going to go Derrick Henry first and then Christian McCaffrey, only because McCaffrey's kind of. But I like the versatility of McCaffrey, and he probably fits the best in today's NFL. I'm going to go McCaffrey, Barkley, Henry, Hall. So I'm going to switch
Okay,
it up.
so we're a little off in
A little
between,
off. Yeah.
and the reason why I would go with Henry before I would go with Saquon is I think with Derrick Henry, there's when you really need to have those backs that just can be versatile. I think second to McCaffrey, I think he becomes the most versatile with just the football in his hand without me
Yeah.
having to rely on throwing him passes.
Right.
I think Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley are similar, but I'm going to take McCaffrey because of his consistency over time. The fact that you just kind of know what you're going to get with him. He's not going to have those big game, small game, big game, small. He's going to have consistent games. Then he's going to have explosive games and multi touch point type games where he's effective in both run and pass. And then sometimes he's going to be a touchdown machine. And Saquon is exciting. He has explosive plays. He has this resurgence and all these other things, but he's really predicated on the play calling and some other things. I don't know if his innovation is just as good as you would get with a McCaffrey. And then with Brees Hall, like we said, I think he's just he's on the list. But good player. But when you're talking about the level of the guys that we have here, I think he's at a disadvantage. And again, Derrick Henry, to me, I could have easily made him one, but I just felt that I'm going to lose something in terms of if teams are stacked up against him and he doesn't have the breakout runs and even being that bigger back, that we can hand him the ball all we want. But I just think he's going to be still one dimensional and he's not going to give me that ability if we have to go into a pass mode. He just kind of fades out. You almost have to bring in another guy.
Okay. Yeah, those four guys certainly have a much broader or unique skill set. I don't know that they're necessarily all the same. Okay, all the same. Sorry. Anyways, all right. Next list we have Larry Zonka, Paul Hornung, Don Perkins, Lenny Moore.
I'm gonna go with Lenny Moore.
First,
I'm gonna go with.
I don't care. I'm not judging.
No, you jumped on me. One, because again,
I
there was a
did.
little
That
bit
was
of
a very
bias. I got to make sure I put a Moore somewhere on this
first.
list.
Oh,
Yeah, I was like, yeah, maybe I'll put Lenny Moore first because
Lenny
he's got.
Moore was a really good player, man. I'm telling you, he was.
I
As a
know
Hall of
Lenny Moore was a
Famer, I
good
mean,
player. That's what I'm saying. So when we were talking about these players, these running backs, man, Lenny Moore, I wouldn't have a problem putting him in probably at 2, but not at 1. So I'm gonna go with probably Paul Hornung, Larry Zonka,
wait.
Lenny Moore, Don Perkins.
Okay, so yeah, Don Perkins. I don't know. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, he's not my top 10. It might not be him. I don't know where he is. So see, here's the thing. Larry Zonka was he was the Miami Dolphin, right? And so there is that bias towards me. But I look at Zonka run and I'm just like, I
It's
don't
a
know.
rough, rugged runner.
It's
He,
he, yeah, it's
he looks like he's laboring when he runs,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. It looks like it's a little but he did win quite a few Super Bowls and was very good. Lenny Moore, very understated actually in his career. Paul Hornung, of course. I think I'm gonna go Zonka, Moore, Hornung, and Perkins. I think Paul Hornung was just more hype statistically, but he was that's where I'm going.
I don't have the thing is I don't argue. I don't have a problem with any of those because I think those three. There's a way you can make those very interchangeable
Yeah.
based on how you look at it. And then when you look at the era and you look at just really the distance between those three, Lenny Moore, Zonka, and Hornung, I think you can plead a case. Yeah, Paul is going to be the one that kind of pops out there from the one that people are going to be like, oh, you can't leave Paul Lord in
Right.
second or something like that. But putting him where he was, yeah, I don't disagree with what you're saying. But that's my list. My list is slightly different.
They were stars on really good teams, but they were
Mhm.
like the team.
They couldn't carry the
They were
teams
a
or go
part.
to other teams and
Yeah.
carry those teams.
They were a
Correct.
part of really good teams, and it's where the sum is greater than the parts, but those parts, man, they're really good, and they're really key parts of things, and I think all 3 of these players to an extent were those players, so that's a tough those are some tough names there. Okay, list number 4 is Sean Alexander, Jerome Bettis, Earl Campbell, Bo Jackson. This is an easy one for me, but anyways,
You
go
said
ahead.
an easy one?
Oh, yeah. Oh, this is way easier.
This one I'm going with Jerome Bettis,
Okay.
Earl Campbell, Sean Alexander, Bo Jackson.
Wow.
Wow is right.
Yeah, and that's a judgment wow too, by the way. That's not even a
Mhm.
wow.
Yeah, and you didn't notice any hesitation.
No, none at all. No. For
Mm-mm.
me, I'm going Bo Jackson, Earl Campbell, Jerome Bettis, Sean Alexander.
Okay,
That
you want to give me your reason first, or you want me to give you mine?
I think Bo Jackson, had he played longer, would have been the greatest running back in NFL history.
Okay,
I think he's freaking amazing. I
okay.
really do. Now, I don't know that he would have ever done that. I don't even know if he healthy would have actually ever done that because I think he liked playing baseball more than he liked playing football. I really do. I think so,
I don't doubt that.
but from a talent, boy, man, Bo
Yeah,
was
we didn't sit here though. You can't be. Listen.
hey, it's my favorite, right?
All right, that's what I'm saying. That's what I want. I get it.
It's
So
my
we have our rhyme and reason. So if you're going by
actually
this is your favorite, then
actually
yeah, that's your favorite. Go ahead.
Actually, if it's my favorite, I'm going with Earl Campbell. Look, I've said this before many times, and it had a massive impact in me in my life. When I went to a Steelers Houston Oilers football game, I got to go to the Oilers. I was 10. I got to go to the Oilers practice, and I watched Earl Campbell walk onto the practice field. And he was the last player to walk. You know, the Saturday walkthrough, right? You know how that is. It's just, man, can we just get through this? It's just an exercise in just dress rehearsal. It's a walkthrough. It's not any big deal. But I'm telling you, Earl Campbell walks out of the locker room, the last player on the field, and it was the grandest entrance. It was so dramatic. And like I can just see, look at his thighs. Oh my God. He's just this massive. And there was just this saunter to him that was just like, it was just, man. And I just fell in love with Earl Campbell in that. I was like, this is the coolest dude in the world. He's unfreaking believable. And so for me, and I was an Oilers fan growing up, which is funny that you're a Steelers fan because I hated Pittsburgh. And so I just loved Earl Campbell. So I probably should put him first. And if he's my favorite, he's my first. Bo Jackson's 2, Jerome Bettis is 3. And by the way, I loved Jerome Bettis. I loved how he played. I loved his style. He had this charismatic personality, all those things. But it feels like it was a lot of effort to get the production out of Jerome Bettis. There wasn't this, he was just tough and he ran hard. And I don't know how much real wiggle there was in Jerome Bettis. But man, there was some wiggle. There was some wiggle in the Tyler Rose or the Yellow Rose of Texas, who was Earl Campbell. And
Okay,
John
gotcha.
Alexander in that list, he just doesn't hold up. There's just sorry. He's
Okay,
a good player.
all right. So let me before I give you my answer, I'm gonna ask you a couple questions. So when you look at the NFL, and let's say right now there's I think 18,000 alums and retired players, right?
Yeah.
And then there's I think 1,800, 1,900 players at any given time that's active
Right.
in the NFL. And when you think about, let's just deal with let's say it's 18,000 former players
Yes.
that played short careers, few year careers, long careers, and everything in between. How many of those would you be able to sit and go, these guys were freaks of nature, but they didn't play long enough? If they would have played long enough, they would have been X. If we had to give a percentage, would you say 5%? that
5
were like freak nature that just really you won't ever know their names. They will never be Hall of Fame because they just had a shorter career or they just didn't finish.
Yeah,
It'd be those guys, right?
yeah.
And so we could throw them on these lists, right?
Mhm.
And we go, man, yeah, that guy's good. But man, if you'd seen this guy was phenomenal.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them. And it's not any take on both. Okay, I get it. He great talent. We're not arguing about talent. We're not arguing about whether or not he would have been one of the greatest, if not the greatest running back ever. Future Hall of Fame, all that, but he chose to do something different. Got it. No problem. Problem I have with it, the other guys, they did their thing. They're more accomplished. They did.
Right.
If we're going just talent, that's one thing. But if we're going, and this is where I get into that when people like, I'm up for the Hall of Fame all the time, right? I've been on the Hall of Fame ballot and all this, and they talk about players supposed to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and these are the generational guys. These are guys that changed this and did that, and they were phenomenal, this, that, and the other. And it gets into that piece. If that's the case, then some of these guys that don't have these long careers should always be in the Hall of Fame. They should always be generational,
Yeah.
game-changing players who would have changed and were game changers, right? But that's my point. It's like all over the place. So I went with, listen, Jerome Bettis. He was one of those guys that came in. Big guys aren't supposed to be able to run the football.
Right.
They'll just be fullbacks. They can't break out. They can't break tackles. They can't run down the field. They can't make people miss. They can't run through people. No, Jerome Bettis did that. On my list, him and Earl Campbell were those two prototypes. I think the OG is Earl Campbell. I think Jerome Bettis is just a mold of that because we saw a lot of big backs come through the league.
Right.
Christian Okoye, you remember
the
Uriah Nightmare for a while. He was like one of the most feared guys to ever put football in his hand, right? You look at him now, you just go, man, look at this guy. He looks like the juggernaut with all these shoulder pads and his helmet. He looks intimidating. But in today's game, he'd just be like, just go for the legs, go low or whatever. It's a different game. That's the only thing I'm saying now. Bo could have played in any era. He would have dominated in any era. But in this list, I have to look at it and go, listen, Jerome Bettis, Earl Campbell, guy that just you're gonna show his films just like you show Bo to a certain degree. Like I truly believe that. If you want to look at just guys that just make these crazy plays, he reminds me almost like Marshawn Lynch, right? You see these crazy plays that certain these players do. Even Derrick Henry, when you look at him, and he does some really freakish things, right? As a big guy, Bo speed and power, right, on a guy, but it's when you go, let's show me all these other things. It's not a ton of different variations. It's just don't give him the corner, or when he gets in the open field, he's gone, or he's hard to bring down because you can't tackle him with one guy. You say that about a lot of players. I can take a guy like Chris Johnson. He's really fast. You get him in open field, you get him a crease, he's gone. Boom. We've had a lot of players that we've seen like that. It's all about who gets the touches the most, gets the most time. So I don't know. That's just me.
No, it's a fair, yeah.
And it's not from a talent standpoint. It's again too. I also am biased because I always think that you pay homage to people who did it and did it.
Right.
They finished, right. They did it the whole time, and that's why I put Sean Alexander in front, because I think he's one of those that gets overlooked in terms of what he did and the type of accomplishments that he had. And he doesn't have the name that you would recognize now, but he did then, and fades like anything else. So that's why I know you say he doesn't even look like he belongs on that list. If you go on talent level, yeah, you maybe put him towards the back, Bo in the front. I would even go Jerome and Earl could be interchangeable, because Earl, man, he was a downhill runner too.
Yeah, and really my thought on Sean Alexander was these other names are just so well known. They're iconic names, whether they deserve the popularity, whether their career, because I'm not gonna disagree with you. I don't know that Bo Jackson ever, even if he was healthy, would have really stayed. He's even said he probably wouldn't have stayed with football at the end of the day. And so we're not ever going to know it, but he's certainly an iconic player. And I appreciate the whole, because there's guys like recently getting into the Hall of Fame or have gotten in, and their careers were short. It was a very short body of work. And you just go, how long do you have to play and at what level? So I get it. Anyways, all right, fun list. That's a great conversation. He's Herman Moore. I'm Scott Mitchell. This is the Down and Dirty. Thank you, Martin and Chrissy, for all your help. Of course, you all have a great day. And until then, we'll see you then.